It begins with a surprise that feels like lightning wearing a smile. One click, one green candle, one trade that lands like a comet in a quiet sea. You watch numbers swell, digital tide rising, the room magnified, the air lit with a hum you can almost hear. Your chest loosens. Your vision narrows and sharpens at once. You feel capable, chosen, almost engineered for this. The screen glows. The story you've been telling yourself finds evidence. This is not just profit. It is permission. A message runs along ancient rails. Dopamine steps forward, reward prediction error spikes. The brain writes in bold, repeat this. And yet beneath the euphoria, a tremor. Because sometimes the worst thing that can happen to a fragile mindset is to be right too soon, too fast, too clean. The same surge that crowns you can quietly dethrone you. It tilts your inner compass, nudges your rules into rumor, makes one win look like a law of nature. What if the victory that lifts your chin also loosens the grip on your process, teaches your hand to reach where discipline would have told it to wait? How can a single success, glittering and undeniable, begin the slow sabotage of a trader's mind? Tonight, we follow the fault line that runs through a good day and see how it can crack the month. We will walk the reward circuit where surprise carves deep learning. We will stare into the mirror where a win paints a halo on identity. We will step into the risk thermostat that resets in the warmth of house money. We will listen to the brain's pattern maker as it sees rules in clouds. And we will watch the quiet coup as dopamine mutes discipline and the prefrontal conductor lowers its baton. At the end, a golden insight. Not how to win, but how to survive a win, so it builds your edge instead of stealing it. First, the lever that moves the animal inside. Reinforcement learning is the grammar of survival, and dopamine is not pleasure so much as instruction. When outcomes exceed expectation, reward prediction error climbs. The striatum opens its ledger and writes, "Do that again." Markets, like casinos, operate on variable ratio schedules, the most powerful training known. Not every click pays, but this one did, and because it surprised you, it stamped itself deeper. The orbitofrontal cortex, the brain's bookmaker, updates value rapidly in such moments. The basal ganglia tag the action sequence as efficient. You think you merely profited. In truth, the nervous system rehearsed a new habit. This is why a first win can be more dangerous than a dozen small losses. It arrives like a miracle and becomes a manual. The analogy is simple. A slot machine that delivers early reshapes your future pulls. You start to feel the lever, not the odds. Speculation takes a softer breath here. Maybe winning is not the flaw, it's the surprise. Control the surprise and you control the lesson. Let the brain learn the right thing, not the easy thing. Now the mirror and the halo it loves to paint. Identity is sticky. After a bright outcome, self-serving bias polishes the glass. You see skill where chance was loud, agency where randomness whispered. Ellen Langer called it the illusion of control, the tendency to believe that technique can steer luck. In the glow of profit, the medial prefrontal cortex integrates the event into your story. The default mode network hums with new narration. I have a feel for this. The Dunning-Kruger shadow creeps in, not as arrogance, but as compression. You don't yet know what you don't know, and the wind shrinks the unknown into a shape that fits your hand. Memory edits itself. The mistakes you made on the way to profit become nuance. The breathless chase turns into conviction. The stop you ignored becomes flexibility. The trader in the mirror looks taller. This is the second way one win can destroy a mindset, by inflating the self rather than the process. The analogy is a kite dazzled by its own flight, forgetting the wind. Speculation adds a human note. To keep the mind from merging with the outcome, one must love the craft more than the applause. Then the thermostat of risk, quiet but decisive. We live with set points for danger and safety, a homeostasis that keeps us from stepping off cliffs and also from never leaving bed. A large wind warms the room. Suddenly, the cold bite of uncertainty softens. Behavioral economists call it the house money effect. You spend differently when you believe what you hold isn't yours, and your amygdala calms under an illusion of cushion. Mental accounting opens a new ledger. That gain becomes a sandbox where rules bend. Cortisol drops, noradrenaline steadies, vigilance decreases just as position size tends to rise. You tell yourself it's rational, you're playing with profits. But the brain is resetting thresholds. Risk becomes a friend who whispers, "Not this time." Loss aversion, so sharp and useful, dulls at the edges. The prefrontal cortex, relieved of threat, lowers its guard against overexposure. Here, one win can quietly raise your ceiling of recklessness. The analogy is a driver adding speed after a near miss because the road stayed kind. Speculation invites a reframe. Perhaps the true victory is keeping the thermostat stable, allowing size and caution to answer to plan, not to temperature. Next, the pattern maker, generous and treacherous both. We are built to find constellations in noise. The brain rewards coherence even if we have to invent it. The caudate nucleus and habit circuits chunk actions into routines. The salience network flags what seems meaningful. After a win, the mind highlights every detail that preceded it. The pre-market news, the candle shape, the rhythm of your breath, and whispers, "This configuration works." Confirmation bias patrols the desk, nodding at every echo and ignoring every counterexample. The orbitofrontal cortex calibrates expected value using a sample size of 1, and suddenly you have a setup. But overfitting is not only for models, it is for minds. A single good outcome can turn into a myth that you try to reenact, bending context until it fits the story. The analogy is reading the sea from one wave. This is the fourth way a win can break your stance, by teaching your eye to see rules where there are only tendencies, to carry yesterday's sky into today's weather. Speculation offers a kindness. What if the purpose of a win is not to define a pattern, but to remind you to keep collecting truth until a pattern earns its name? Finally, the quiet coup against discipline. Cognitive control is not infinite. It is a set of circuits, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate, that allocate attention, hold rules online, and inhibit impulses. Dopamine does not just light up reward, it can, in excess, capture control. The striatum grows louder, the conductor's baton trembles. After a big win, traders often report a tilt that feels like acceleration without friction. The next trades come quicker, the review dims, the pre-trade checklist turns into a whisper. This is not weakness, it is neurochemistry. Decision fatigue joins the party. Too many fast choices soften resolve. The HPA axis, done with alarm, steps aside. Adrenaline's edge retreats. You feel safe, and safety is when sloppiness hunts. One win becomes 3 trades too many. Then the market, indifferent to your story, issues an invoice. Loss arrives. Not because you won, but because you loosened. Rules, time, attention, under the glow of reward. The analogy is a pilot switching off instruments in clear skies, forgetting that weather is a rumor away. Speculation leans forward. If the brain's chemistry tilts after profit, perhaps ritual can tilt it back. All these currents gather into a single wave that breaks at a simple shoreline. The win is not the villain. The danger lives in what your nervous system is trained to conclude. The golden insight is this: convert reward into information before it converts you into a story. When profit arrives, slow the clock on purpose. Let the surprise decay. Name what was process and what was weather. The seconds after a win are a choice point where biology teaches quickly. If you feed it awe, it will learn superstition. If you feed it structure, it will learn craft. The mind can feel the difference. Ask your outcome to stand apart from your identity. Treat the dopamine rush like applause you appreciate, but do not choreograph to. Build a cool down, a breath, a brief fast from clicking so the prefrontal cortex can climb back to the podium and the striatum can take its seat. This is not doctrine. It is physics of attention. It is a way to keep the lever in your hand without the lever holding you. There is a gentler layer here, too. The win you feared would ruin your mindset can become the teacher that restores it if you let curiosity outlive excitement. You can honor the reward while refusing to mythologize it. You can turn the green candle into a line in a journal instead of a crown. You can let your next trade be the first trade again, made by rules that do not bend to weather. And on the rare day when certainty tempts you to stride, you can choose to walk. If this journey met something in your own practice, lend it a signal. Like this film so it reaches the traders who are winning and quietly slipping. Share in the comments the time a single victory bent your rules and what brought you back to center. Subscribe for more explorations of the invisible physics of profit and mind, and invite a trading partner to watch and debrief with you. The market won't get kinder, but we can get wiser together. Remember this when the screen glows green. A win is not a prophecy. It is a question. Answer it with process and it will build you. Answer it with ego and it will own you. The market pays in numbers. Mastery pays in how you hold them.